all of your lies, Barack Obama, you wicked, wicked devil!
It's so freaking good.
Oh God, it's so great.
Welcome
It's so
back
great.
to another night of Stick with Cool Frog. I got American shirts with me, of course. He's been with me since day
Super
one.
Saiyan.
And of
Yeah.
course, we got Jimmy YouTube. How's it going,
Hello.
guys?
Excellent. How are you?
Oh, we're doing all right. It's a Monday night, so it's kind of a strange night for me because I normally didn't do Sundays and Mondays, but being
Yeah,
that
we
some of
used to
that
be part of the
scheduling is
Fuck
going to be
Monday
changing
club
in
up
the
in
future here, we're gonna pick up any nights that we possibly can, and we're just gonna keep it going. Because with nights missing, it's the way it's gonna be. Every night, we'll be ready. Be ready. We're coming for you. America shirts. You got something for yourself? Getting
Yeah,
some
what do you have to say
fresh
for
coming
yourself?
out of that store?
I mean, I just, I have like, like it's like the most base t-shirts on the planet. Like, I mean, that's, I mean, it's America's shirts are first.com, it's get your base t-shirts. I mean,
Kill Bill over here.
what did I do? I mean, other than just, make,
You should really be
shirts
careful.
that are really truthful and, all the, yeah. So, I guess we all just got to be careful, don't we? But other than that, I mean, I don't know what else am I supposed to say for myself? I'm not guilty. Is that what it is? I mean, if it's guilty of making the most base t-shirts on the planet, then yes, guilty as charged. I'm sorry. Actually, not sorry. Whoosh!
How's
Like
the
a
YouTube
sound wave just like
Jimmy?
whacked my house. No, I'm just kidding.
Jimmy, got anything new going on?
Yeah, I got some stuff over on YouTube side, and I'm gonna be uploading it to Odyssey and Rumble pretty soon. You can follow me here on YouTube at Jimmy YouTube, or you can follow me over on Odyssey, Rumble, and TikTok at the Atlas Pass, or you can follow me on Twitter at RealAnimeRich with underscores and capitalization.
I think I have that in the description. If I don't have it in the description right now, at the end of the show, I'll put it. I'll make sure that we all get back in, if not before, because this is going to be a long show. By the time I get all this done and over with, I mean, you can see the clock on this one here. Whatever. This is the Joe Biden joint press conference with H.E. Scholz out of Germany. It's a fairly very short.
Oh yeah.
Fairly short because you see the time on there, whatever, and it says hour and 24, and we're still begging, beginning shortly, at 40 minutes and 51 seconds into that stream. So I mean,
she must have been eating a
they always
sauerkraut.
do that, and then they cut it early before whatever they go to this screen where it says this is ended, so it's not even all the way to a good half hour, 40 minutes. The one after that, the Putin one, holy man, him and France, they really get into it. I really don't know how much we're going to actually watch that one. That one's kind of a long video, and kind of hard to actually understand some of it. But
being as it's in different languages,
that Putin actually says through that video. Some of it, should be heard by most anybody and everybody. It's very interesting, what he actually has to say. I do have a few other things after that. We're going to talk about Joe Rogan for sure. We'll get to him. I do have a surprise little piece.
The Joe Rogan experience.
Yeah, I got a little surprise little piece that comes up in midway or whatever. That it's really should be surprising to almost anybody that sees it if they hadn't seen it already. So that being said, let's get this show going a little bit. I am Cool Frog. If you're interested in supporting me, you can make sure you go down below and hit those links. If I don't have, let me know. I'll get him up in there.
Give him money. All of your
I
money.
need some money
And
to
me
raise
too.
my family.
While you're at it.
That's pretty much why we're
I'll
all
fix
here.
some of that.
That's what we're all doing. We're all, trying to, raise our
Little bit of
family.
money, honey. No, I'm just kidding.
The United States and the Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany.
Please sit down. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'd like to start by thanking Chancellor Scholz for making this visit to Washington.
Now, look at those
We
two
had an
flags.
opportunity to have a very productive meeting.
Which
I
flag
think
is
our
more
staff
awesome?
wondered whether we were going to let them in
I mean,
at
come
all.
on.
We spent the first
Right?
half hour more talking together, and it's been a very, very useful meeting.
What a loser
One
flag.
of the things that struck
Black
me
at the
was
top.
the shared
Just-
values
Who does
that shape how each of us approaches leadership.
I say that.
Among them, the foundational commitment to the dignity of workers and the need to treat all people with respect. So I enjoyed speaking with you all often. I know,
Ducey, the reporter,
working together,
Peter
we'll
Ducey.
continue to strengthen and deepen our alliance.
He can go to hell,
The extensive
right?
partnership between Germany and the
In a
United States.
handbasket.
Stupid
Of course,
son of a
at the
bitch.
top of our agenda today was our united approach to deterring Russia's threats against Ukraine and the long-standing principles of rule-based international order. That's what we spent most of our time talking about.
Rules-based
Germany and the United States,
international
together with our
order.
allies and partners, are working
And the
closely together to
rule
pursue
world
diplomatic resolutions
order.
of this situation. And diplomacy is the very best way forward for all sides, we both agree. Including
Which is why you keep
best
hurling
for
insults
Russia,
and
in our view.
keep building
And we
weapons
have
up
made
and
it
stuff.
very clear we're
'Cause
ready
you really
to
want
continue
diplomacy.
talks in good faith with Russia. Germany has
Oh,
also
good
been a
faith.
leader in pushing de-escalation of tensions and encouraging dialogue through the Normandy format. But if Russia makes a choice to further invade Ukraine, we are jointly
Further
ready,
invade.
and all of NATO is ready. Today, the Chancellor and I discussed our close cooperation and developed strong package of
NATO
sanctions
is ready.
that are going to clearly demonstrate
Even though
international
Ukraine's not a part
resolve
of NATO, they're
and
just
impose
controlled by the
swift
United
and
States
severe
government. But what
consequences
the
if
hell?
Russia violates Ukraine's sovereignty and its territorial integrity. And I want to thank Germany and all of our other partners in Eastern Europe, in the European Union, for their work in this.
But hey,
united
violate
effort.
the hell out of our borders. Who gives
We're
a
in
damn?
agreement that it cannot be business as usual if Russia further invades.
It's like
We
the
also
cartels and the
discussed our
Chinese
shared
just
commitment
invade
to
over our
NATO's
southern border
Article 5
and
responsibilities
terror cells and everything else. But what
and
the hell?
reassurance of our Eastern flank allies. We're united
Eastern
in that
flank.
as
There's the word
as
again.
well.
Remember the Pentagon guy?
Already, the United
Eastern
States is sending
flank.
troops to reinforce the alliance, and I want to thank
They're
the
already
Chancellor
calling it a
of
war
Germany
zone.
for hosting additional U.S. forces and
Are you
for
shocked?
the long-standing
No,
hospitality to our women and men in uniform. We also discussed the challenges we're
Just
facing with
very
the international order from China,
disgusted and
along with
disturbed.
Russia and other
yes.
competitors that are pursuing more illiberal futures. We've agreed that Germany and the United States will continue to work together.
To hell,
ensure
you
that the
complimented
rules
China
and
not too long
principles
ago. Asked the
governing
question if
emerging
autocracy should be a thing or
are geared
democracy
to
should
advance
die.
freedom
Like,
of
I mean, he was
opportunity,
just debating that.
not repression
He's been a
or
cuck for China
authoritarianism.
since before he got in
We
office.
also
really.
reaffirmed our commitment to completing the work of integrating the Western Balkans into the European institutions and to finally realize a Europe that is whole, free, and at peace. With Germany holding the presidency of the G7, we also talked about how that forum can harness the world's leading democracies to advance a robust agenda on global challenges, from ending the pandemic to addressing climate change.
Oh my
So the bottom
God!
line is this:
World Economic Forum bullshit.
whether as
There it
allies
is.
in NATO, partners through the European Union,
Build back
as
better.
leaders of the
Great
G7
reset.
and
There it
G20,
is.
or
You
through
can't
our
talk about
strong
that. That's
bilateral
racism.
relationship. Germany and the United States are close friends,
Honk,
and
honk.
reliable partners.
They're close friends and reliable partners
Oh,
because they're both part of NATO.
look who's in the chat. It's my
and we
friend.
can count on one another. There is no issue of global
Oh,
importance where states are not working together
how's it going today.
to strength.
Kolishnikov,
Applying
Soviet
and
Russia.
amplifying our efforts together. So I want to thank you all for making the
Says
journey
our
today,
resident
and I look
communist
forward to
Russian.
being the first of many opportunities we can spend together beginning this meeting and throughout.
Remember,
the
this is a
year and the
press
rest of our term.
conference.
So thank you. Welcome.
Oh, how formal.
Schönen Dank.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon from my side as well. I'm very grateful
Wow,
that we
his
had
voice
the
changed
opportunity
really,
to talk in
Yeah.
really rapidly there.
much
Yeah.
detail today, and that I was able
Probably
to make
not
my
the
first
best
official
idea.
visit here. And
And,
I
That'd
mean,
be like
it talks
in a
way
like
back in
world
the
full
day.
of
Way back in the day, that kind of would have been something that a political opponent would do to mess with you.
oh yeah,
right?
nowadays it's like
that's
in a world full of
kind of
trannies,
the
it's
reason
kind of
that we're watching these two sets of videos, because we're going to see the difference between how one side holds press conferences and how the other side holds press conferences.
Vladimir
also could
Putin
talk
holds
about the
press
important questions that we're
conferences.
dealing with today.
That's
We are in a
that's
very
what I'm
difficult
saying.
situation.
The
I
press
thought you
It
just
is
went,
conference
a
holds
fuck
the
you,
good
Vladimir
thing that Pro and I
Putin.
were able to discuss what we need to do in this difficult context. Of course,
It's quite
the
interesting.
military threat in Ukraine, against Ukraine, we cannot remain silent on that. We see the number of Russian troops along the Ukrainian border, and that is a serious threat to European
it's also the
security.
Russian
And
border.
this is why it
Holy.
is important that we act together, that we stand together, and that we do.
Wait a minute. There's two borders.
No.
You don't say there's a border on both sides of it. Yes, there's two
Yes.
borders.
There's been a proxy war
Everybody,
going on there for
you
almost
put
a decade.
you put a wall up and you put up a border. You put up anything. You put up something that marks that this from here to here is my territory and the other part is your territory. There's two sides. There will always be two sides, but to allow people to flood their way into the United States, and then on the adverse, don't allow people to flee from Ukraine properly. I mean, there's going to be some issues. You know there is. It's never good when one side joins war because it just makes somebody else want to join in and be like, well, fine, you against me. Ready? Let's go.
Absolutely.
Bring out the troops, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to march troops out, and they're going to,
Do what
You
is
know they're
necessary
just
together.
geeked up and
It
ready
is
for war.
important
They
that
want
all
it.
allies, the
right?
US and
They went bad. And this is why it's important that we act together.
Germany, transatlantic partnership between the US and Europe, NATO, say the same thing, speak with one voice and do things together. And we made it very clear, if there was a military aggression against Ukraine, this will entail severe consequences that we agreed upon together, severe sanctions that we have worked on together.
Yes,
So there will
you must zoom in on this guy because we need to see what he looks like.
I
'Cause
promise he's not a woman.
it totally matches the voice.
be a high price for Russia. This is a very clear message. Everybody has understood it. And I think this message has been made clear again and again so that even Russia has understood the message now. What is important is that we also intensively worked on preparing possible sanctions together. We don't want to start once there is a military aggression against Ukraine. We have prepared a reaction that will help us to react swiftly if needed. And we will do that. At the same time, it is important to use all diplomatic means we have. And I'm very glad about
All
your
those,
great willingness to
rockets
move
and
forward together,
military
especially the
stuff.
bilateral talks between the US and Russia. And of course, the talks that we have agreed upon within the NATO-Russia format. This is also important, also because Russia needs to understand that NATO stands together and that NATO is prepared. After so many years, there have not been any talks in this format, so it is a good sign that they are happening now. Of course, we have controversial debates there, but it is important that we talk. And the same is true for the OSCE, where we need to discuss about security in Europe. This is also a progress, as tiresome as it may be, and we have not yet reached any very substantial conclusions yet, but it is good to see that this format plays a role now. And the same is true for the talks between Ukraine, Russia, France, and Germany, the Normandy format. We have this format, but we haven't been able to really use it in a productive way over the last few years. So now we have come back.
Wait a minute. This Normandy format. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I've
before?
never heard of it.
Beats the hell out of me.
That's kind of interesting. What is the Normandy format? The Normandy format talks involve 4 countries: Germany, Russia, Ukraine, and France, whose representatives met informally during the 2014 D-Day celebration in Normandy. France is an effort to resolve the war in the Donbass. That's a Wikipedia, so I mean, you gotta take that with what it is. But it looks like there's some recent news that come out of it. So let's share this one. Just a quick look. This is the last thing that come up with anything that had to do with the Normandy format. This is out of the Kiev Time or Kiev Post's Ukrainians Global Voice since 1995. So I mean, they've been around for a while. Normandy format talks started back to life. So the revival of Normandy format talks this week, after the hiatus for over 2 years, has led to some cautious optimism that a major escalation of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine may not be inevitable. Representatives Ukraine, Russia, France, and Germany met in Paris this Wednesday for an 8-hour-long dialogue involving Russian presidential administration deputy head Dmitry Kuzak, the diplomatic and national security advisor of the French president Emmanuel Bon, advisors of the German chancellor. Just give me a bunch of names. Who cares about the names? According to Yermak, the parties agreed on the joint communique, the first such document since 2019. It said that the parties decided to return with new proposals in 2 weeks, emphasizing that they know which differences they're dealing with. Meanwhile, Kozak reiterated that Ukrainian must communicate directly with the self-proclaimed Republicans in Luhansk and Donetsk Oblast as to comment on the Russian Duma's proposal to supply weapons to self-proclaimed republics. So I mean, it looks like there's something, between the 4 countries that's been around for quite some time. It looks like there could be some interesting stuff in there. Let's get back to the video. I'll throw this in this article that I pulled up. I'll throw it in the general, or I'll throw it in show setup, I suppose.
Excellent. Oh my goodness.
Stop that one.
Ski the heck out of me.
Let's share this one again. This one.
Now we get to see the Russian side.
Oh wait, no, we're still going with this.
We're still going here. We just stopped for a second to see what this other thing is.
The Normandy format.
Seems to be something that's evolved through the four countries or whatever, and it's kind of turning them apart apparently.
Back to that format, we are having tough discussions in that format, and that shows that there are ways that will lead us out of this difficult situation. And this dual-track approach of clear announcements with regard to sanctions that will be taken if there is a military aggression, and at the same time, keeping all dialogue formats open. I think this is the most promising strategy one can have, and that is what we're doing together, and we stand side by side in this approach. We also talked about many other topics that are important for us today, especially when it comes to the G7 presidency of the Federal Republic of Germany. We will work closely as strong economies, strong democracies, and we also therefore have a special mandate to contribute to cohesion worldwide, and part of this is that we continue to do everything we can to make sure that the citizens of the world can be vaccinated, not only in our rich countries, but also in countries where people would love to have the vaccine but don't have access yet. And these are initiatives that we have carried out together and that are of utmost importance worldwide. The same is true for fighting man-made climate change, a big topic that keeps us all busy.
More World
even though it
Economic
is
Forum
obvious
bullshit.
that only a global solution can be successful.
Global
Because
talking
climate
points,
is a
talking
global
points.
thing. It doesn't stop at national borders. As an
Doesn't stop
industrialized
at national
nations, we
borders.
have an important contribution to make. We have technological opportunities,
Because we are the
economic opportunities,
world.
and have to use
Technological
them in order to
opportunities.
prepare
False
a
industrial
situation where we and
revolution.
others can enjoy prosperity without harming the climate. This
And
is
this
the
is
big
what I
challenge
call proper
Climate.
capitalist
that we see,
reform.
and that is of great importance to us. So this is why we want to work together on this strategy and use a climate club of like-minded people
Climate Club.
and partners. These are some of the topics we discussed, and once again, the
Oh my
personal
gosh.
discussion we had illustrates the excellent
Is this
Yes,
cooperation
because we've
okay for
already
between our
YouTube?
determined we hate
countries, the
Russia. We
strong
were going to go to
bond
war
we
with them.
have
So let's
within our
just keep talking about the
transatlantic
Great Reset and how we're going to just
and
take
the
over the
fact
world.
that
Whatever.
both countries
Right?
can rely on each other.
Much. Well, I'll take a couple question each. Reuters, Andrea, you got the first question.
Brought to you
Mr.
by
President, and thank you, Chancellor Scholz.
Brought to you by
Mr.
Pfizer.
President, I have
P
wanted
word.
to ask you about this Nord Stream project that you've long opposed. You
Oh.
didn't mention it just
Which
now
you let
by
go
name,
and
nor
let
did
through and
Chancellor
do its
Scholz.
thing.
Did you receive assurances from Chancellor Scholz today that Germany will in fact pull the plug on this project if Russia invades Ukraine? And did you discuss what the definition of invasion could be? And then Chancellor Scholz, wenn ich Sie fragen darf,
If I may ask you, Chancellor Scholz, you said there was some strategic ambiguity that was needed in terms of sanctions. I just wanted to know whether the sanctions you are envisaging and the EU is working on, and the US as well, are already finished, finalized, or is there still work ongoing? And you're not really saying what the details are. Is that just an excuse for Germany maybe to not support the SWIFT measures?
The first question first. If Germany, if Russia invades,
If
that
Germany.
means tanks or troops crossing
Because Putin is Hitler.
the border.
A little bit of a
Ukraine.
Freudian slip there, Mr.
Again,
President.
then,
Right.
there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
Okay.
how will you?
What's that
how
going to
will
have
you
to do with
that?
anything?
Oh, that's gonna
Exactly.
be
Since
that's
the
gonna be
project
retconned
and
in a little
control of
bit.
the
Don't
project
worry.
is within Germany's control.
They're gonna have to put out
We
a
will,
statement saying, "No, we're
I
not doing
promise you
that."
we'll be able to do it.
Schönen Dank für
You gonna stop him?
Thank you very much for your question. I want to be absolutely clear. We have intensively prepared everything to be ready with the
Russia's
necessary
very clear that
sanctions
they're gonna
if there
actually
is
they want to
a
actually
military aggression against
continue doing
Ukraine.
what they're doing
This is necessary. It is necessary that we do this
because
in
it's necessary to
advance so
keep
that Russia can clearly understand that these
moving
are
through that area.
far-reaching,
They
severe
need that land.
measures. It is part of this process that we do
Which
not
is why
spell
you
out everything
accepted
in
the Nord
public
Stream to
because
begin with,
Russia
and then,
could
oh,
understand that there
sorry,
might be
we're going
even
to
more
cut it
to
off
come.
now.
And at the same time, it is very clear we are well prepared with
We said it was
far-reaching
okay,
measures.
but now
we
it's
will
not.
take these measures together with our allies,
Because
with
that's
our
how we
partners,
work.
with the US.
Cry because you didn't get your way
And
when
we
you
will
went and
take all necessary steps.
signed
You
an
can be
executive
sure
order
that there
taking
won't be any measures in which we
Keystone
have
away
a
from the United
differing approach.
States.
We will act
Because
together,
now that's
jointly.
never ever going to happen ever again.
say to our
They
American
change their
friends,
plot and how they're
we
going to
will be
change
united.
where
We will
refineries
act
are, and
together.
that's why
And
they
we will
decided
take
to
all
do
the
it.
necessary
They're like,
steps.
we're
and
fine,
all
we're
the
done.
necessary steps will be done by all of us together.
So that money will never flow through the United States ever
To
again.
turning off and pulling the plug on Nord Stream 2. You didn't mention it, you haven't mentioned it.
As I already said, we are acting together. We are absolutely united, and we will not taking different steps. We will do the same steps, and they will be very, very hard to Russia, and they should understand.
You recognize someone now, Chancellor?
Herr Fischer.
Michael Fischer, dpa, vielen Dank.
Michael Fischer, DPA. Mr. President, one question to you. The US, over the last few years, have exported heavy weapons to Ukraine, and Germany excludes that, has only delivered 5,000 helmets to Ukraine. Don't you think that NATO should act unanimously in this respect? And Germany, as the strongest European NATO partner, should also deliver heavy weapons to Ukraine. And Ukraine has asked Germany to do so. And on Nord Stream 2, I would also like to ask, don't you think with regard to the threat posed by Russia, Germany should already rethink its position on Nord Stream 2? And the third question, if I may,
No, because it's not a
over the last
principled
few days
response.
and
It's
weeks, there
just
has
a
been severe
carrot on a stick
criticism
response so that they
from
can
the
try and
US
control
media and
Russia.
from Congress as well, vis-a-vis Germany, about the reliability of Germany as an ally. This has been called into question. Do you understand this
Got
criticism?
another
Is
bot.
Germany a reliable partner from your point of
Curse
view?
it
And
out.
Mr. Chancellor, also a question to you.
And it's the
Nord Stream
same
2,
Tell
text
it.
that's
you
typed.
said all options are on the table.
No, it's not.
You're not mentioning Nord
There's,
Stream 2
there's
by
quite a few
name.
letters that are different.
Don't you think if you were to spell this out, you could win back
No, I mean
trust
like from the
as
other
a
day.
strong ally here
Oh,
for the US?
yeah.
It's
There's
like
no
the same
need to
people
win
with like
back
the same
Yeah,
trust.
it's the
You
same
have complete
person.
trust of the United States.
I got a couple
Germany
of
is
fresh
one of our
bots
most
coming through
important
here.
allies in the world. There is no doubt about Germany's partnership with the United States, none. With regard to
Do we
helping
taser
Ukraine,
them?
one of the largest contributors financially
Leave
to
them sit
Ukraine
there.
has been Germany. Germany has been in the forefront of
Uh,
making sure of providing economic
you the
assistance.
boss.
You also asked the question, you asked so many, I can't remember them all.
Might as well use them
in
as a
terms
you, I
of,
guess.
Of course you can't
the
remember
U.S.
them all.
media saying Germany is
Yeah, legit.
reliable.
Like,
Germany
course you
is
can't.
completely reliable, completely, totally, thoroughly
Only
reliable. I
honest
have
time
no
in
doubt
Biden's
about
life. It's like I
Germany.
just can't remember.
They're reliable because they'll do what we tell them
Yeah.
to do. If they don't, we tell them,
We are
to
united, and the
join
transatlantic
something
partnership
against
between
NATO.
Germany and the US is one
Sanction
of the
it.
permanent pillars of German policy, and it will be relevant in the future as well, just as relevant. And this will be one of our top priorities always. On behalf of NATO, we are the country in continental Europe that is making the largest contribution, financial means, and also military power. And we are the country that contributes a great share. We don't fully agree with the US who pays the biggest part of financial support to Ukraine. Since 2014, about $2 billion direct bilateral support, and within the EU, an additional 3.8 billion that is made available. So substantial financial means to stabilize the Ukrainian economy, and we're willing to continue with that sort of contribution. So this is the very strong and unbreakable friendship between our two countries. Part of this.
Do you really
is
seriously
that
think that there's any
difficult.
way that there's just going to be a stop to it, and that Ukraine won't eventually be sucked into being Russia again?
I mean, I don't think Russia wants war. I just think Russia doesn't want them to keep advancing. Because, like I said, there has been a proxy war there in Eastern Europe between Russia and NATO for the past like almost decade. You know, there's been shots fired. There's been 15,000 Ukrainians alone, let alone the other troops and other different people that have been killed left and right in Eastern Europe, all along the border, but specifically in Ukraine is the hottest. And you know, there's been this proxy war between basically NATO and Russia this whole time, and now Russia's finally putting like full-blown troops on their border and saying like, hey, enough's enough. Their people are pissed off because they think that even Putin is being a little bit wussy-footed about this, and because he's not more willing to go to war. So, you know, I just think this is a reaction that Russia's taking, and they know that, and they're utilizing it to blow it up and, you know, try and
Sure.
have a war to cover for things, and then to you know, hope maybe take Russia out. But I don't think
Situation
Putin
at
wants
the
it.
Ukrainian border.
Let's
Due to
move
the
on.
That's my
rules,
opinion.
We have made it very clear.
That's
There's not too much left of
we
them,
will
actually speaking.
unanimously act in terms
actually,
of sanctions. Mr. President, once again, a
breaks
question
up
with regard
soon.
to arms exports. Do you think it's okay that NATO
Within the
partners have
next 10
different
minutes.
approaches here? And on Nord Stream 2, once again, do you think the current positioning of Germany with regard to the Russian threat is okay?
Look, there is no doubt in America's mind that Germany is an incredibly reliable ally and one of the leading physical powers in NATO, number one. Number two, the notion that Nord Stream 2 would go forward
Nord Stream
with
T.
an invasion by the Russians is just not going to happen. Now, Wall Street Journal, Sabrina?
Thank you,
I gotta
Mr.
read off that
President.
paper.
Based on everything you know now, do you think that President Putin will authorize an invasion of Ukraine before the end of the winter? And what is your message to the roughly 30,000
They always
Americans who are currently
do
in Ukraine?
attack in
Do you think
winter.
that they should
So,
leave the
I
country?
mean,
Well, I've had
if
discussions.
somebody's not paying
numerous
attention if they think that they have
discussions
invaded them already.
with the Russians and particularly with Putin. I don't know that he's even made it. I don't know that he knows.
Some of those
what
border
he's
towns
doing.
hats have been
And,
taken over
I think
already.
he has to realize that it would be a gigantic mistake for him to move on Ukraine.
You're not
The
going to
impact
build
on your
embattlements on your own
would be
land. You're going
devastating.
to build the
You
embattlements
pay a
of
heavy price.
their
I
land.
have been very, very
So,
straightforward and blunt with
they've
President
taken
Putin, both on the phone and in
square
person.
footage for sure.
We will impose the most severe sanctions that have ever been imposed, economic sanctions.
Well, I'm sorry.
There'll be a lot
This is
to pay for
international square
down the road.
yardage.
It will affect others as well. It will affect us somewhat, it'll affect Europeans, but it will have profound impact on his economy. And but I don't know. I know that he's in a position now.
I don't
to be
know. I
able to
know.
invade, almost assuming that the ground is frozen above Kyiv. He has the capacity to do that.
Kyiv.
What he's going to do, I don't know.
Heave
And,
ho, Kyiv
I don't
ho.
think anybody knows but him.
To the Americans who are currently in Ukraine, should they leave the country?
I think it'd be wise to leave the country. I'm not talking about our diplomatic corps. I'm talking about Americans who are there. I hate to see them get caught in a crossfire if, in fact, they did invade. And there's no need for that. And if I were they, if I had anyone there, I'd say leave.
To Chancellor Scholz, can you outline specific steps that Germany is taking to reduce its energy dependence on Russia? And what do you say to those who suggest that German reliance on Russian gas is limiting Europe's options for how to respond to the crisis in Ukraine?
Schönen Dank für die
He
Frage.
doesn't care
Thank you
about
very
that.
much for raising
They're
that
wanting
question
to shut
because it
off
gives
the
me the
power in Europe
opportunity
anyway.
to address
They're
a
talking
topic
about
that's
it.
important to me. One
They're like,
good,
who cares? You know, you
news,
go have rolling
maybe,
blackouts and hardly no
within its
electricity. Oh, who cares?
strategy on fighting man-made climate
So
change,
yeah, sure,
Germany
that was
has
used.
decided
The Nord Stream pipeline as
in a very short
a
period of
as a
time
tool.
to phase out of the use of oil and gas by
There it is. Phase out the use of
very
oil and
soon, and
gas.
by
So why not just do it now,
2045.
right?
Right.
It's a good way to
Best
start it
do
off. Just phase it out now. There we go.
It's right. Nothing to see here. What happened to?
Germany will have
Thought we had a third
carbon
person in
neutral
here.
economy
Oh,
as one
yeah,
of
I
the
don't know
strongest
then.
economies of the world. And with regard to these energies, we often think about heating at home and
We put him to
driving a
sleep.
car, but we're talking about industrial production, producing
This stuff
steel,
can get kind of
chemical
hard to watch.
substances, cement, and changing these industrial processes and reorganizing such systems is what we have planned. So this year we will continue to take far-reaching decisions that will help us to use more wind energy, offshore wind energy, onshore.
Yep, there you go.
We're going to use more natural resources than we would if we would just go with using the coal and oil, because we need to produce this contaminant of metals and superconductors and other whatever that they put in these wind turbines that pollute our land, because eventually they do break down. Yeah, you have to oil them on a regular basis. I mean, the whole idea that it's better is ridiculous.
Yep.
And it's not clean.
Wind energy and solar energy, and expand the
Yep, they have to
capacities,
tear
expand
everything
the
down all
grids.
around it.
Right. Use nuclear energy if you want something that's going to actually work. It's actually clean.
And have a strategy for Germany, but also
Oh, there he
worldwide
is.
on the use of hydrogen, which is a central element for us to
Hello.
change our industrial processes that are using oil and gas right now. The industry is willing to be on board.
Hello. You okay?
Yeah. My computer shut down and then wouldn't turn back on.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
I understand those hard times.
At
Hard
Ridgemont
time.
High.
Yeah. So we're gonna.
We're
These guys
doing
are
this
just
together with them, but it will be the biggest industrial modernization project in Germany in 100 years, with very good prospects. We'll
Yep, the fourth
develop new
industrial
technologies that other
revolution. This
powers
is all
in the
great
world can
reset
use as
bullshit.
well. And this will help us fight climate
NATO,
change.
World Economic Forum, big
And
banks.
by the way, the energy mix today, we are talking about 1/4 of our energy that is
Pentagon
linked
in
to
the
gas,
U.S.,
and
a little
only
bit of
part
UN
of that
mixed
gas
in.
comes from Russia. A big part comes from Norway or
All
the
the same talking
Netherlands.
points.
And of course, it is very important to us that we develop an infrastructure that will give us the
Oh
opportunity
yes, infrastructure.
to have all options
Yep,
available.
get rid of your
and
power,
react
your water
if
there
needed.
in Germany.
So
But
you don't
hey,
have to be
you
concerned.
need to
There are some
take those
who
jabby
should be
stabbies,
concerned, who
by
see
golly.
themselves maybe too much as a deliverer of
You're
such
killing people if you
resources.
don't take them.
Because we are focusing on renewable energies. We will go down that path and make sure that this is the profitable future.
Says Klaus Schwab's mouthpiece.
Literally.
Literally.
Also, Herr Rinke.
I mean, they both are.
Mr. Rinken.
Herr Präsident,
So is
Mr.
Trudeau.
President, I
all
would
the
like
rest
to
of them.
ask you a question about LNG. Germany and Europe are much more dependent on Russian gas than other regions of the world. And you promised European allies to help with LNG.
They were reliant upon U.S.
This resource
until
is more expensive.
Biden
it's
shut
not
it off,
available in the
and then
volume
What do you
let
think
Nord
would
Stream
happen
go
if they
through.
got a
Now we can have our
WEF
new
question?
industrial
how you
revolution.
would
It's
help
so
Europeans in
wonderful. We're
case
just
of a
setting off the
conflict with
gas everywhere.
Russia.
Then we're going to use
Is this
Nord
an
Stream
empty
as a carrot on a
promise, or
stick
what
to
can
try
you
to get
really
Russia to go
do?
crazy. It's
What can you offer? And in
fantastic.
addition, the U.S. are buying oil from
What were you saying, Darren?
Russia worth billions of dollars, and I would like to know whether these
I was too busy
Yeah.
clarifying these
transfers are
statements.
also part of the sanctions package against Russia.
What do you think would
And
happen
Mr.
if they got a
Chancellor,
WEF question?
liquefied natural gas. There is a big controversy in Germany about fracking gas. And how far is LNG
They just
even a real
conspiracy theory. You're crazy.
replacement? Or is it also with a view to the climate club you intend to?
All that kind of stuff.
What kind of question is this?
Same old,
Just-
same old. It's just the same bullshit.
Found. Is it really an alternative to Russian pipeline gas?
Let me respond.
Pre-prepared one.
First of all, we are looking at opportunities to make up for lost
It's the same question the other woman
gas,
asked before about
LNG
the Nord
from
Stream pipeline.
Russia. We're underway of trying to see what we can do to do that, dealing with our friends around the world as well. We think we could make
It's
up
all like, shut down
a
Nord Stream,
significant
shut down Nord
portion of it,
Stream. It's
that
like,
we
oh, okay,
lost.
now that Russia's not
But
doing what we
everybody
want, yeah, sure,
forgets
now
here
we'll shut it down.
is
Because that's
Everyone
what we
should
wanted
just
to do in
sit
the
backwards
first
and be
place.
confused
This
by
isn't a
it.
plan. We didn't have this
Sell
thought
that.
through. This is just
Russia
spontaneous.
relies a
Russia's just going
significant part of what- It's the only thing
crazy.
they really have to export. And if in fact it's cut off, then they're
We
going to be
didn't
hurt
try to
very badly
manipulate
as well.
things
And
to
there's some
our will.
consequence to them as well. This
No,
is not just a one-way street.
never.
And so we are looking at what we could do to help compensate the loss of, immediate loss of gas in Europe if it occurs. And that's what we've been working
Yeah,
on
we
for
are
some
looking,
time.
yeah, because
Here, let me
Biden's
give
not.
you
It's
a
all his
long
head
drawn-out
knows.
answer.
Yeah.
Ich bestätige zunächst mal, dass wir
I can confirm that we work closely with the United States of America, and Joe Biden and I are working closely together as well. We are prepared for all kinds of situation, and that's part of what we do when we say we prepare sanctions. That means we need to be able to react at any time, and this is happening. With regard to the use of LNG, I can say that the biggest volume of LNG used across the world is gas, and that is part of the debate. Concerning a long-term perspective, I already outlined what this is about. We will modernize our economy, and where gas is being used, we will switch to hydrogen. This will be a process that will happen faster than many might imagine today, and that will create a bright future for all of us.
No, it's not a bright future. It's a dark one because there's going to be a lot of people without electricity.
What happens if you mix hydrogen into a metal-rich atmosphere?
I don't know.
What does burning hydrogen give off?
Not a scientist. I couldn't tell you.
If only we had a scientist friend. I need a brim.
Where's the gram?
You're the mean one. No, I'm just kidding.
Mr. Grimm.
Kind of goes pretty well.
Really
He said
own
he had
the
some work tomorrow.
lips.
There must be somebody that's paying attention that has access to this link. If they want to,
God,
throw some science at us, wake us up.
I'm giving you an invite.
Wake us up from our slumber. You can see he's already pulling at you. He's not going to say anything more.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Let's get the fuck out of here before they shoot us.
Yeah.
Oh, here's this thing. Oxides of nitrogen are dangerous particles that are released when you burn hydrogen that can create acid rain. But pure hydrogen is still heralded as a clean fuel.
It's a
this
bastard
is
gas, if you
very
ask me. I
tough. So,
tell
like,
you
all
what.
right, go. We just, answered, 4 questions. We're good.
Yep. Yep.
Nothing more to see here.
Well, those were answers. I thought they were just talking, out their ass.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I mean,
Listen to this website about hydrogen, right? So it says pure hydrogen is still heralded as clean fuel because primarily because the amount of oxides that it creates is minimal compared to that of fossil fuels. Really, CO2 versus acid rain.
so like I
Carbon
said,
versus acid rain. That's a
this gets
I don't know.
really, really hard to listen
Anyway.
to.
Yeah.
This gets
What
really
troops?
hard to listen to if anybody even tried listening to it.
I don't see any troops.
That face.
That is the I don't see any troops face.
Yeah, they're like, I don't see anything.
I
What are
don't
you
know what
talking
you're
about?
talking about.
What
I'm just
troops?
going to take over from here.
Ukraine? We've always had that.
So, this statement that he's making right here.
Oh, he woke up a little more.
Look at that, man. So, I mean, again, there's a lot that goes into this. We're 30 minutes into this, an hour and 2 minutes, and they seriously don't sit there and fluff out the beginning and end. When these guys talked for an hour and 2, I mean, they actually talked for the hour and 2. But it's really hard to understand because of the translator from each, whatever into English.
Russian, French.
And you hear, 2 voices. It's hard, rough. Putin's all right, though, when it comes to actually what he has to say.
The gangs.
I mean,
press conference. Are we to go to war with NATO? But you're the second part of this, and I'd like to ask you, do you want this war? Do your readers, the audience, want this war? A war between Russia and NATO? This is how it will happen if events run this way. We all care for European security. And as for the Donbass,
do we?
Yeah.
Ukrainian leaders say that they will implement the Minsk Accords. Then they repudiate them and say they will never do that, that it's something that will undermine Ukrainian statehood. So will they or will they not implement them? And speaking about security guarantees, who will provide guarantees to us? The Ukrainian government has already tried to solve the issue about military means. Will they implement the agreements or will they make another attempt? They made 2 attempts.
We summoned him forth.
Who will provide guarantees that a third time will not happen? These are all issues that need
just needing a
to be reviewed
scientist.
carefully.
So Grim, let me bounce the question off.
By
You want
us
to pause
together.
it? All right. What happens if you put hydrogen? Was it they're doing hydrogen?
Yes, Germany wants to use hydrogen as fuel.
What happens if you release
Yeah.
hydrogen into
She
a
want to
metal-rich
use the hydrogen.
atmosphere over an extended period of time? Also, what comes of burning hydrogen?
Thank you for slaying those bots for me. That's awesome.
Wrecked him. Damn near killed him.
Destroyed those. Just wanted
It's Final Jeopardy here, Grim. Come on.
Tactical nuke incoming.
Ahoy there.
Ahoy, boomer.
Yar, shimmer me timbers.
I be a clown pirate.
Say again. I couldn't catch that. What happens when you release hydrogen into a metallic-rich environment?
because Germany says they want to try to use hydrogen as fuel.
Right.
Because we don't need oil anymore. Now that we let the Russians
you know
build
how
Nord
we've-
Stream over to us, now we don't need it anymore. It's beautiful. Oh wait, that was Russian, is that correct?
Yeah.
I was
Right.
trying to. Crap.
What is going on? Is he? Maybe he didn't hear the. Okay.
The Canadians got
If
him.
you heard that, if you rewound it and actually heard it twice, perfect.
And I'm very grateful to Mr. President that he deemed it possible to come here to Moscow to discuss that, because it's not only about Russian security, it's about security of Europe and the world. We're not only talking about NATO's expansion, something we're against, but also the non-deployment of attack weapons near Russian borders. But if everyone wants peace and well-being and trust, what is so difficult about not placing military infrastructure at our borders?
There it is. It's like, gee, how about you not place rockets and point them at us? It's like,
Why not? Why can't I?
Combine that
and then
with
our people get
5G,
pissed
and what
off
do you
because it's
get,
like, hey,
Grim?
So then, we got an answer back from the Grimm's bar. Let's see what he says here. He says it depends on the metal, which reacts differently. Some proposals for cold fusion use tritium and palladium as a means of cold fission. Research due to pockets of superconductivity in the lattice. There's the
Yeah, I believe it's titanium that they're spraying, man.
So they're poisoning people without them knowing that they're being poisoned.
oh, so it's not fission, it's fusion. He corrected himself.
That says fusion.
Fusion.
This shit fusion, no lie.
It's like, almost like it's fuzzy.
I dated a Jawa once. Furry. Very
So,
furry.
What's so bad about it? If NATO is a peaceful organization, what's so bad about returning to the state of 1997?
See,
The
there you go.
Founding Act was made between Russia and NATO.
you pointed fingers at me, so I'm going to point fingers at you and blame it on you.
But that's the agreement. That was the agreement. We don't expand NATO over to Russia. Russia doesn't go any further, and then we just kind of leave the former Soviet states alone. They can, go around and do what they want, but NATO's not going to advance against
But they're
Russia
not
because
doing what I want them to do, so I'm going to force my way in, and I'm going to try doing what I want because I'm Russia. So
this would certainly lead to increased security between us and trust between us. But they keep referring to the open door policy. But it's a key issue for us, and that's what we've been discussing for these 6 hours. Tomorrow, President Macron will be in Kiev.
Greece versus
and,
Russia agreed to never take Crimea again in exchange
his plan
for the
of
nukes.
work
Give
in this regard,
Crimea
and I'm very
back,
grateful to him
and you have a deal.
for using
Russia.
so much of his time for solving
There you
these
go. Put
issues
Grim
that are
on the
very important to us.
negotiating
Thank
side.
you.
Coming back to your question, I think, first of all, it's the French responsibility to maintain a strong relationship with Russia. We are two big European countries,
Is it a
and
hot
also
take to say why the
we
fuck should we
cooperate
care
in
about
the United
Ukraine?
Nations, and that's why, for us, the bilateral
well, exactly. Like,
Well, so that we had something to watch, something to do.
No, I mean not like that, but I mean just like
The
in general.
U.S. Yeah,
the
US,
governments,
bro.
right? Yeah, like
Not
why?
not me.
I mean, obviously the government is getting itself involved in all of it. It's been involved in it, but the question is like, why is it?
But so you notice the difficulty in trying to watch something like this. It's so hard to listen to.
The relations are extremely important, where we can discuss different topics, trying to find out the common solutions, and also speaking about the Iranian matter, trying to find agreements on, for example, Libya situation. That's why we're trying to search for compromises. For me, it's an evidence. The second thing, and I think that we will share the same understanding that Russia it's Europe. That's why those who think about the European future, we should work together with Europeans. Is it easy thing? Not. In any case, Europe is based on the specific initiatives. That's why this is very extremely important task, and that's why for NATO, will it abandon its approach? No, I don't think so. And finally, I think that's the determination of France during the next.
So apparently, Grim didn't watch the first half of the show. He says, "I wonder."
Oh, well, they didn't talk about that
because they're being out in the USA about flights and moving equipment. Well, I mean, they're really into it or whatever, but there was the first half of the show was Joe Biden and the guy from Germany, whatever. So it was kind of an interesting. No, we get it. We understand. Of course, you're working. That's what you have. That's what you need to do. KOL.
Yeah, but they didn't really talk about it earlier.
They
anything
really
involved
didn't
with, like,
get
equipment
into it,
moving.
but
Nothing really super specific. It was mostly about Nord Stream and World Economic Forum talking points, and we're going to make sure everybody gets jabbed, and then we're going to go to climate change, and it's going to be so beautiful. That was basically what it was. We love Klaus Schwab.
So anyway, I don't know how much more we're going to play on this.
Months during the French presidency of the European Union Council.
Unless like some specific bullet point that I can move this to that you find interesting.
Discussion with the Russia, and also to discuss the engagements and responsibilities of all European countries. That's why
it's super hard to listen to.
I tried to present them in order to find out the common way. Me personally, I think if we don't discuss with Russia, we will increase our collective common security and stability. If not, in such a case, to whom will we provide the place for discussion? That's why sometimes we can't go further. That's why I think in any stage we should try.
This guy's pretty bad at translating French.
Very horrible.
He's Russian, obviously, and so he's trying to translate in a third language.
Right, exactly. He's translating it from one to the other to another.
So,
and it's just like, wait a minute here. But
that's
as you see, look at how big 4 flags of his own.
Why not? It's your country.
promises
Because one wasn't
providing
Exactly.
for, stability
So
and
long, gay boy.
You're saying same, type of deal, whatever, right?
Oh, he
He's
must
got
be
this-
looking at Macron. That's
But
in order to preserve our interests and also of our partners and allies. It's
you look
our
at the flag
common
difference
goal.
between
That's
what
why
they're,
the
very
next days,
dominant
next weeks,
to what the U.S. is sitting there, one
we
flag
will
each.
deal with this very tough goal, respecting our fundamental principles, as our geography will not change. That's why we're continuing our activities.
Oui, oui, liberté.
Andrei Kolesnikov, Kommersant newspaper.
Sorry,
Question
Graham.
to the president
Your
of
last
Russia.
message doesn't
Mr.
get to get
Putin.
added.
What are the prospects of a settlement in the southeast of Ukraine?
He's got
Do
to
you
get
think the
back to
Minsk
work.
agreements are still alive? And a question to the president of France on a related topic.
I mean, after that good logic stream, I think anything goes.
Look at that guy.
what is he,
As I see, you decided
He had a
to
frickin'
spend the
hoodie.
night here in
Had a
Moscow
international
and
press
fly to Kiev
with the hoodie,
that
like
morning,
with the
where you had a
stuff on
meeting
it.
with Mr. Zelensky.
Look, it's like a bunny and like
What
freaking.
is your
Like, what
message
the hell else is
for
on
Kiev?
this thing?
I approve.
Considering the recent statement that the Minsk agreements, if
He's like
they are
Frankenstein.
implemented,
You're like, what the
and
hell?
France, as a guarantor of these agreements, will destroy Ukrainian statehood. Thank you.
I think they're Pokemon.
As to the Minsk agreements,
Go back a little
and
bit.
whether they are alive,
Hit
how
5
many
seconds back a couple of times.
I don't think they're
Let's
Pokemon.
inspect this hoodie.
It looks
Oh
like a
no, they're
rabbit
not
there.
Pokemon.
In the middle there, it looks like.
I mean,
Oh no, this is
this
from a
kid
movie.
on his arm, kind of. I don't know.
What in
Like,
the
look at
heck?
the center there with like the 4 glasses.
Yeah, well, it's 2 heads. It's 2 heads stacked on top of each other. This is like Nightmare Before Christmas level stuff. Looks kind of like Yoda at the top there on the hood.
God, who like really? That's how
What a
you
mad
dress.
lad. Much approval.
Uh,
Right in front of Putin.
Kiev
Yeah, like,
says
legit.
that they
Your own
will,
president.
and then they say that they will
Assuming
not
it's a
implement these agreements. They say that it'll destroy their country, and the president said that he doesn't like a single clause of those agreements. But you have to stand by what you've signed. It's the only way. And they don't want to talk with the Donbass, but the agreements say that certain issues need to be discussed and coordinated with the representatives of those republics. Otherwise, no work will be possible. So you need to man up and to accept what is written there in those documents. The current leadership got elected with the slogan saying that a peaceful solution needs to be found for the Donbass problem. And I think this is the only way to go. Now they're attacking Poroshenko, accusing him of treason, saying that he signed the agreements. But the country accepted that, and it's confirmed in a Security Council resolution.
Is his right eye higher than his
And
left eye?
so I wasn't joking when I said that we'll be willing to provide political asylum for humanitarian reasons, not
Sit up
because
straight,
we're
my man.
fans of his policies, but for humanitarian reasons purely. I knew it would happen, and it happened just like
he's
that.
back.
Now he's under investigation.
Did he just get fired?
But these are all
I hope not.
issues
It's
of
chill, I got
domestic
fired.
politics. I suggest that one
Did I say
rises
World Economic Forum too many
above
times?
this and thinks about
The corporate overlords heard you.
the strategic prospects for Ukraine
you.
and conditions for stability and security for everyone on the international stage.
So, you know, he wants everything to happen for on his side. Obviously, you know, it's Putin. I'm having a hard time watching this guy right now.
Boy, I believe in you.
What is this? Oh, he's watching our show. Asylum. Oops. He accidentally died of natural chemical agent poisoning. But
Naturally died of chemical agent poisoning. That's pretty good.
did you guys watch a lot of this, or did you not?
No, I haven't seen a bit of it.
No, I haven't seen hardly any of it. Like, at all.
Okay. That's totally fine. There's a lot of video.
On a horse? No, on a bear. That's what.
Yes.
Go back to the subject of security guarantees. You've already mentioned that, but
Yeah,
the overall impression
guy's voice when
is
it's a woman.
that after NATO and Washington gave a response, this subject has not been discussed. It has been pushed into the background. Do you think that the subject of providing security guarantees is not up for discussion any longer? And what ways forward do you see?
Once was
And
enough.
a question to Mr. Putin. What will be your next steps? And going back to your words, you've mentioned the arguments used by our partners about the peaceful nature of the alliance, that NATO is not a military but a political organization, and I can also recall the argument that decisions on the NATO level are taken by consensus, so if some countries are against Ukraine's accession, then it will not happen.
Right out there.
If this is taken into account, what are your concerns? As to the military or non-military nature of this organization, I've already
Get an
said
outsider's perspective on that.
that Belgrade and Syria, the Afghanistan operation are all evidence that it is a military organization in full sense of the word. As to the issue of some NATO countries being against accepting Ukraine or Georgia, we've heard about that several times. But if this is the case, why did those countries sign a document in 2008 in Bucharest that NATO opens its doors to these countries? It's been 30 years since we started to talk to our partners, trying to persuade them not to do this, not to do that, and they have been ignoring us, all our proposals. I hope Mr. Macron will not be angry with me for disclosing this part of our discussion. He said, well, you were the first to break the rules, but the document signed in Astana that says that our countries cannot ensure their security to the detriment of others.
What? I'm going to divulge some of our conversation, and I'm going to let you know that we don't give a fuck.
And that territorial integrity needs to be maintained. And he said, you were the first to break the
You
rule.
just connected again.
As regards Crimea, the situation is different. We've never done anything like that with regard to a country with a normal situation, with a stable government, where no coup d'etat is taking place. But the Western countries have supported the coup d'etat. So what kind of a source of power is a coup d'etat? Then they did have elections and re-elections, but the initial step was to take power by force with a bloodshed. So we had to protect the people who live in Crimea in that situation. What other options did we have? Why were we put into that situation? In 2014, representatives of several countries signed guarantees of peaceful process. But in 3 days, power was taken by force, by armed men. We're not playing these games. These are bad games. The current situation is something that we need to resolve and find a way out, and we agree that we will work further to find solutions. As to our further steps, we will provide a response to the papers received from Washington and Brussels. I informed Mr. President about that. We will send our response to Washington and Brussels. There are some points that could be discussed. They have a secondary importance, but still. Because the response we got, and our partners are asking us not to publish the response, which is a bit strange.
He's doing what? He's asking them not to publish something?
No, he said that they aren't wanting to publish the response. If you rewind it a little bit, I forget what exactly he called that.
Good 15.
They have a secondary importance, but still. Because the response we got, and our partners are asking us not to publish the response, which is a bit strange.
He says it's a bit strange, so, I mean...
It's just a response to... to what again? I have to go back a little further. Just to the topic.
I informed Mr. President about that. We will send...
Oh, all the way back to the question?
No, just like to where he stops talking about Crimea, like right off.
Further to find solutions. As to our further steps, we will provide a response to the papers received from Washington and Brussels. I informed
Papers
Mr.
from
President
Washington
about
and
that.
Brussels.
We will send our response to Washington and Brussels. There are some points that could be discussed. They have a secondary importance, but still. Because the response we got, and our partners are asking us not to publish the response, which is a bit strange. Our proposal was open. What do they want to hide from the public? But I am not going to discuss every article, but on all the key issues, such as the non-expansion of NATO, the non-deployment of attack weapons, and the reversal of NATO infrastructure to 1997, neither of these points are provided with responses. No, yes or no. It's as if those questions were never posed. We only see political cliches and proposals on various secondary issues. I don't think our dialogue is over. We will formulate our vision and send it to Washington and Brussels. And I informed Mr. President about the substance of our approach.
I can't hear anymore from these guys. This is too much.
The way in which I hear this, and this is just, this is an observation of just, their demeanor and the way in which they conduct themselves in this whole thing. Putin is like very open. He's like an open book, and he's sitting there and he's like, oh yeah, and I don't know if he, President Macron wants to tell this stuff or not. And I hope he's not mad at me, but he said this and they said this, and we're talking about this, and it's like, I mean, he's just like an open book. He's just like, he just keeps going and going and going. Now, I don't know if every singular word that comes out of his mouth is the most truthful thing on planet Earth, but at the same time, he just seems pretty open. He's just, just right out there in the open. It's always going back to the 1997 agreements of, hey, keep NATO off Russian borders, this and that, and he just keeps talking about that. He keeps drawing it back to that. And he's just like, he's just open and open-ended and just like, hey, I mean, we were communicating and, they don't want us to publish the response. Well, why wouldn't you want us to publish your response? The response kind of seems like a non-answer and on and on.
And that was, so then you see this down here. This is the point that I was going to pretty much get at.
Yes, that's exactly right. He's like really open about communication. He's like, hey, I'm willing to talk. I mean, like you all just keep sitting here acting like I'm crazy. I'm here talking with Mr. Macron. Like, we're, thanks for coming, like, hey, do you really want a war? I mean, it's just out in the open. Biden doesn't even say war. The Germans don't even say war. And yet they're the most hostile, it seems like. But yet in their press conferences, they're just like severe consequences. And Putin's just like, well, I mean, do you really want war? I mean, he's just out in the open. He's just very open about it. He's just honest is what it seems like. And then Macron and the guy from Germany and Biden, as we watched, they all seem like pitter patter, like they're going to try to go around the answer, go around the response kind of thing. That's the way it seems like to me. They just are poking around. They don't want to make it seem like it's war, but it actually is. And then Putin's just like, well, yeah, I mean, this is what they're pushing for. Do you really want this? I mean, he's just asking, like, do you really want this? I mean, I don't want, because that's his perspective. That's what I've been saying. It's like, I don't think he really wants this at all, but I don't think he's afraid of it. But at the same time, he's like, I'd rather avoid this. I mean, I mean, that's the perspective that I have when I look at all this. Is like, yeah, I mean, he's just open about it. He's like, yeah, well, yeah. So, and then, their responses are just, and like I said, just going around and around and around, and well, this, well, that, and then of course, Biden and the other, German guy, they didn't, as you pointed out, Cool Frog, they didn't really get too many pressing questions of any kind. They were just there talking about World Economic Forum bullshit.
Right, which is the question that come off of the thumbnail or the description or whatever is which one's really more of a press conference is what it comes down to, because
what information did we get?
Not a press conference, right? You got absolutely no details on absolutely anything.
Nothing. The first one. The second one, Putin's just like, hey, we talked about this, we did this, and everybody else just seems to be just going around in circles, and
Right, and
so I mean, like I said, I'm not a Russophile. I'm not like a Russian worshiper, but I mean, hey,
and he's just straight out. This is what's going on, and these guys are lying. And now we're going to take Ukraine. And that's what I'm getting out of it. So, little sneak tidbit here, whatever. It's a little bit more disturbing. Just as disturbing as everything else that we've been watching. This Clark County District School in Las Vegas, where a kid was beaten unconscious. It's really disturbing.
Guys, stop! Get off of her!
Get off of her! And everybody left. You gotta be kidding me. You're just gonna stand there and let that happen? Just gonna stand there and let that happen? How disturbing is this?
Yeah, I mean, like, what the hell kind of a teacher is that? Like, with the teachers, we just love our children. We just love all of our little lovely children. We just, we're a bunch of lefties that just screw them up in the head and tell them that they're all, freaking the reverse gender, and then sit there and let them beat the hell out of each other and whatever, I mean, for crying out loud, like, she could have had a pencil and stabbed her and killed her. I mean, like, for God's sake. And she's like, oh, help, I can't. I mean, my God, like, if this was, an actual caring person, like, this woman would have tackled her. I mean, honestly, like, this is high school. It looks like high school. I mean, like, this is a young woman. Like, she could kill her. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you got to tackle
If
this
she
crazy bitch.
didn't hurt her severely already for what she had just done, this little girl should be held for, assault.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, if there's any real severe damage to her brain, I would see
This
about the charges
so
about attempted murder.
disturbing on
Honestly,
so many levels.
I mean, because like I said, I mean, if she had something else in her hand, I mean, God only knows what else could have happened to that girl. Like if she had something heavy or something pointed, I mean,
The last thing that we actually had scheduled for the show is we were going to try lightening it up a little bit, not be so serious about everything.
well, that's the way the world is.
A little bit of a joke.
That's really.
So it says, "Hey, Joe Rogan, we are ready to fight alongside you." There's a note from CEO from Chris Pavlovsky. So then it says, "Dear Joe, we stand with you, your guests and your legion of fans and desire for real conversation. So we'd like to offer you 100 million reasons to take the world to a better place."
To make the world a better place.
To make the world a better place. How about you bring all of your shows to Rumble, both old and new, with no censorship, over $100 million over 4 years. I don't know why it says bucks. They shouldn't have done that. This is your chance to save the world. And yes, this is totally legit. It's great. And, censoring anybody on any platform is wrong. So anybody that's willing to, shortchange themselves, I think he could get a lot more for it. I really do. And, Odyssey also thinks they could get a lot more for it. Yes, Odyssey. Dear Joe, we understand that you and your guests and your legions of fans desire a real conversation. So we'd like to offer you 100 gazillion reasons to make this world a better place. How about you bring all of your shows to Odyssey, both old and new, with no censorship, for $100 gazillion over 4 years. This is our chance to save the world. And yes, this is totally legit and not just a marketing play for attention.
I'm sorry, but that's literally what this Odyssey thing sounds like. And the other thing is a literal offer to him for $100 million. Like that's official. Like they wanted to offer him $100 million. So then they're just mocking it. It's like, why? Oh, because that's the ploy for attention. It's Odyssey's ploy for attention. I'm sorry. There's no other way to see that, in my opinion. I mean, honestly.
It's dependent on how you see that one, but you see exactly. I see it. It's the same way. It's like, well, look at who's actually using this as a marketing ploy for attention because.
And then look at the other thing. It says, how about you bring all yours to Odyssey, both old and new, with no censorship, including criticisms of Israel and Donald Trump. What the hell does that mean? Like, what do they think that, like, on Rumble that there's no criticisms of Donald Trump or Israel, or like what the hell? And why the hell does that even matter? Like, when has that been a topic of the Joe Rogan experience of like, oh hey, let's criticize Trump and Israel for a week? Like, what? I don't get it. What the hell?
Well, I thought that was funny about
that's trying to whack Rumble,
So
but like,
obviously
what
it
are you
was a
whacking
joke.
Rumble for? Like, how does that even? I don't even. But yeah, okay, haha,
Right, we got a good laugh out of it, right?
ha 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 ha. Hardy.
Oh, well, I tried. Maybe I'll try harder next time for something to laugh at.
Try hard.
I guess I didn't try very hard.
We should have had like Putin memes ready. Like Putin on a bear, Putin on a horse, Putin on a something else, Putin on a rocket, Putin on a like.
Someday that might actually be a thing.
Oh, but we're back to this.
Well, we're getting to the end of the show here. So, there's a couple of us that are sitting here. There's a couple sitting in chat. Make sure you follow all of us. Jimmy YouTube is in chat. I'm sorry, in the description down below. And you should be able to click on his links and actually follow him.
Yeah.
Grim's Bar is also in that description. You can always go through there, find him, click on him.
Ja, ja.
Probably one of the nicer guys that you'll find. Go ahead and hit him up. I got this guy that's sitting next to me every day.
You know.
Got anything good to say for yourself?
Oh, lots of good things. Like you can get 15% off any shirt in the AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com store by using the discount code CoolFrog. That's 15% off any shirt in that store. Of course, you can get the based Charter shirts. Yes.
Those base t-shirts, eventually, like I said, I'll turn on the camera eventually. You can see, I'll have shirts by then. Shirts from shirts.
Shirts. America shirts. AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com, ladies and gentlemen. Most space t-shirts on the planet.
Right
Go grab you some. Tell the truth. Truth bombs. Left make the lefties go ree.
/CoolFrog. I'm telling you, it's totally worth your $1. Anything that you say, anything that you donate, as long as there's a comment on it.
Oh, yeah. Buy me a coffee.
Buymeacoffee.com /CoolFrog. You don't have to. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for me to be, 1,000 followers in, and you're finally like, well, I've been watching this guy for a while, and he's finally got this big following. Maybe I should donate. You should donate now. Donate now. Be one of the early ones. Those early ones. Anybody that actually didn't get Discord that have actually subbed, you can actually get Discord links.
Yeah, well, it's
for
early,
free
yeah.
for now until we go and we change that once we get somewhere. So Discord links are free for subscribers. If you subscribe, you come talk to one of us. We'll totally help you out. Thank you.
But
say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Later, peeps. Till we meet again.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Oh, you got to do something, right?
Oh, we're still live.
You shouldn't be. I hit the end stream.